Our next speaker is Olga Lyandres with the Alliance for the Great Lakes from Chicago.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Susan, this is a bit of a tough act to follow. I'm going to zero in on a very specific thing that I'd like to talk about and how it relates to zero waste. And this thing is microbeads. So the issues that we work at the Alliance are framed primarily by how it impacts the Great Lakes ecosystem and the quality of people who live, work, and play in the Great Lakes region. Among the suite of issues that we work on, microbeads are not a dire threat, but they have drawn the ire of consumers and actually captured the attention of decision makers in a way that we rarely see. And so while they don't seem to be too threatening, these little plastic particles, from the perspective of zero waste, I think, and I don't know, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about zero waste until very recently, but they're kind of a nightmare because once they get into the environment, there's no way to capture them, recycle them, reuse them in any sort of way. So in the past 15 years or so, microbeads have been included in formulations of personal care products, such as facial scrubs and toothpaste. And when they're used, they're basically rinsed down the drain and flow into the municipal wastewater stream. Currently, there's no mechanism to catch them before they're discharged. And studies have shown that precisely because of their properties, so they're less than a micron, they're buoyant, polyethylene or polypropylene plastics, typically white, they are prime sort of targets for aquatic organisms, and they're being consumed by them. So, because outfitting all effluent discharge pipes to filter this out is not a realistic option, and because it kind of reinforces the end of pipe idea rather than a pollution prevention approach, in order to address this issue, we have been working with legislators in Great Lakes states to make sure that states, capitals enact a ban on manufacture and sale of products with plastic microbeads. And by now, most of the major manufacturers have voluntarily agreed to phase them out. But we chose to pursue this legislative solution because to encourage others to do it and increase accountability for these kinds of phase-outs. So Illinois was the first state to ban microbeads in products that were being sold, and we were involved in that directly. So it was pretty exciting to see. But many states since then have considered similar bans, and in fact some states like New York are now pursuing it county by county. So what we have is sort of a patchwork of laws in place that they're attempting to address this issue. And the legislative process is messy, and all constituent interests have to be represented. And so we came across a number of challenges, things related to what is the legal definition of plastic, what is biodegradability, which products need to be phased out, over what time frames. And so those are the kind of things that we have been grappling with and trying to understand better. So I took the assignment pretty literally, and I'm going to rattle off a bunch of questions I have for folks in the room here, because this is sort of a fairly new issue for us, and learning how to address it effectively is something that we're interested in. So there's sort of two directions. One is a more technical one, because microbeads, this issue has sort of generated so much interest and attention from the public. We want to think about how to use it to connect to issues of plastic waste, marine debris, litter in the Great Lakes. But because we typically work on water policy, we don't have the resources at our organization and the capacity to to understand and develop proposals that address the manufacturing supply chain of materials that end up like microbeads and other plastic waste. And so some of the questions along the technical side I have for the folks here are, how do we avoid substitutions, so biodegradable plastics, so they don't become a new problem or a similar problem further down the line. And what is the state of biodegradable plastic industry? Is that going to be a viable alternative ever, or 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line? So that's one set of questions that I have. And now if we step back a bit and look at the issue in a broader way, and consider the fact that when we posted action alerts and information about microbead bans on our social media channels, for example, these are some of the most popular things that people engaged in. And this kind of showed us, this is a good example of how we can sort of leverage consumer outrage to support some of the advocacy work that we do and local policy change work that we do. And so what I like to sort of raise to this group here is how do we leverage that and how do we build on that? We engage over 15,000 volunteers across the Great Lakes region in beach cleanups. People come out to help give back to their community, clean the beach, and this is a place where they see this waste, which is typically something that they don't think about in their daily lives. So we can have an opportunity to build support for a zero waste movement with these thousands of constituents that we work with year to year. And what I'd like to learn more about today is, what are the messages about zero waste that resonate with the public? What individual actions or local regional programs can we direct our volunteers to, so that they can understand what actions they could take or how they can support a movement like that? And if there are tools and resources that are available that people here have developed or know about, that we can pass along to the people that we work with to help spur this movement, I would be really, really interested to talk to you about that. Here's my contact information, so if you want to find me later today or email me, I'd be happy to chat about this and other Great Lakes issues. Thank you.